Good morning. Welcome to our Thursday morning thought for today. If you've been with us this week, we've been working our way through the story of Jesus in the synagogue, how he taught with authority that amazed the people. And then from there, he had this encounter with a man who was demon possessed, how the demon then spoke through the man, revealed who Jesus was. Jesus then silenced him, and we thought about the idea of the messianic secret, about Jesus not wanting people to know that he was the Messiah, that there was a time when it would be revealed and that Jesus was in control of that time. We also thought on, I think it was Tuesday, about how this idea of it's not good enough just to know who Jesus was or know who Jesus is, but we need to know Jesus personally. And I want to recommend a book to you, The Jesus I Never Knew, by Philip Yancey. I recommended it way back at the start before we started looking at Mark's Gospel. But if you're maybe watching this today and you want to know a little bit more about who Jesus is, it's a great book to delve into. And if you're maybe sort of person who's been brought up in church and you've always had an idea if you think you know who Jesus is, this book will also take away a lot of the things we thought we knew or we've accepted maybe as children, but it'll also allow us to go far deeper into the wonderful person of Jesus. Today we're moving out of the synagogue and moving into the home of Simon and Andrew. We read in verse 29, "And immediately he left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John." So these are the first four disciples that Jesus called, two groups of fishermen down on the shore, and he's now going to Simon and Andrew's house. Now we read, "Now Simon's mother-in-law lay ill with a fever." So the full family lived together in this house. I'm sure it wasn't a huge house, but there was within this house a very ill woman. And we thought about how Jesus, having authority over healing and sickness, was able to restore her immediately. She didn't have to go through this phase of being able to take little steps every day and get a little bit stronger every day. But there's this sense that the fever left her, and so did the effects of the fever immediately. And we read about how she then served them at dinner. So it's been a long day. Jesus had this whole incident in the synagogue. He's now come to the house. He's healed this mother-in-law of Peter's. And there's this sense of, at the end of the day, they need to have their dinner. So she feeds them, and they're sitting around the table, and the sun is setting. We know the sun's setting because we read verse 32. "That evening at sundown, they brought to him all who were sick or oppressed by demons, and the whole city was gathered together at the door, and he healed many who were sick with various diseases and cast out many demons, and he would not permit demons to speak because they knew him." So at the end of the day, we read about sunset. At sunset, at sundown, or the Bible refers to that, they brought him to him. Why at sunset? Well, we're forgetting one important fact here. This was the Jewish Sabbath. This was what we would call our Sunday. It was our Saturday for them. And at the end of the day, when the sun set, that was the end of the Sabbath day. And so they were allowed to carry people, they were allowed to bring people, they were allowed to do these things which, in all fairness, if they had done them before the sun had gone down, Jesus wouldn't have turned them away. But they waited because they waited until the end of the Sabbath. And there's this idea that we know of from the Old Testament, not to do any work, not to carry things, not to lift people, not to do anything that could be considered work. And so they didn't want to violate that. And so they waited until the sun went down. So at the end of a busy day, when the sun is set, and Jesus would have been resting, I suppose, and preparing for a day of ministry the next day, the sick are brought to his door. Now, I'm not just talking about one or two. We're told here that the whole city of Capernaum came out at sunset and stood around the door. When you think about it, some people say, "Oh, I won't come to Jesus today because, it's just not the right time. In fact, I've got so many things going on in my life. I don't really have time to consider Jesus. I'll wait until maybe I know I'm dying, and then I know I've got to get things sorted out. I know I'll have to talk to Jesus then. I know that I won't get into heaven unless things are right between me and Jesus. But I'm too young at the moment, or I'm too busy at the moment, or I've got enough on my plate, or if I accept Jesus, that'll spoil a few things that I want to do, or it'll spoil the way of life that I'm enjoying. I'll wait until the sun's going down. I'll wait until the end of the day, and then I'll come to Jesus then. You know, friends, many of us hope that we live long and full lives. Many of us will, God willing, because we're living in a day and age where people seem to be living a lot longer. But it's no guarantee for any one of us. We're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised the next breath, but God, by His grace, so often gives us the next breath. But we all know people who we often say were taken too soon. People who thought they had time but didn't. And so I want to encourage you today not to leave it to your own personal sunset, your own sunset of your life, before you decide to come to Jesus. If these people had come to Jesus any sooner in the day, I'm sure He would have helped them. But they waited until sunset because that was part of the Jewish tradition. But I want to encourage you today, please don't think I'll leave it tomorrow, or I'll leave it until I'm retired, or I'll leave it until I'm maybe sick, or until I'm on my deathbed before I come to Jesus. He's waiting for you today. I want to encourage you to come to Him today. Thank you for coming and being part of this video today, and hopefully we'll see you again, God willing, tomorrow. Goodbye.